Man, you take a month off and you completely lose your groove and where you're at. So there was the Kraken, the Dwarven Boar Mine, into the Feywild. Leku died. That means the Orc Fortress, right. We reached this place, where these Venom Hunter dudes were working with these Orc to semi-process the water in the Feywild with the Fey blood, then supply that to various renegade groups. The creatures the dwarves fought in the Dwarven Mines being one of them. Before we went in, however, we did find our new friend Kerrigan? Kragan? It's definitely not Kerrigan, that's StarCraft. Who was Leku's new, totally temporary character until we found a way to revive Leku. He was a half-orc, but he was kind of being a prisoner to these orcs, so we busted him out, and he said he'd help us, So rather than bursting into this place like we did the first orc camp, we decided to go at it a little more sneakily, and we made our way in through the waterway running through this area, as it was running through their camp as well. That's how they got the water, which allowed us to find our way into the storage house. Our sneaky plan, however, was rather short, as we found more of these Venom Hunters in here, and the fact we had a crazy gunman, and they also had a lot of guns. Yeah, everyone heard us after the first round. We did knock one dude down, and while I was wearing the hat, and I'd stolen Jerry the snake from one of the blood hunters, I tried to pretend to be one, and I offered him a hand up. It was a little sus, but he still took the help. Too bad I had inflict wounds ready. So here we are, fighting for our lives as this entire fortress comes running into this storage house. Eventually, even ogres and the alike started to burst their way in. We had the water, which healed us a lot if we dipped into it, but you can only withstand so much. One by one, we were swept away by the water we came in on, until it was just me. Standing on the water with Water Walk, fighting off each orc that jumped at me till it happened. I went down. For the first time in this whole game, apparently. The DM was waiting for this moment. My dude was a frickin' Super Saiyan, or a Brightborn? His eyes went white and his hair went gold, that's all I know, and I burst out of the water again, killing what I assumed was the war boss of this place, before I also dipped to make sure the party was actually okay. I am the Cleric, so they were fine. I knew they would be. They were all gathered by some Eladrin, some Summer or Autumn Elves, but as soon as they saw me, they all gasped and bowed, seeing my hair. Apparently being Brightborn was a big deal, at least to these dudes, and they happily helped us up, and even helped us get the heck out of here, leading us up to their castle. We met with the queen of the area, and she revealed a lot of information. Firstly, just the fact Vincent was a Brightborn, but not much more than that. That's how we got the name. Just that it had to do with the bright shards that apparently were scattered about the world. Something our DM got from the Lightfall jazz. The second thing was that these orc were on a warpath to completely dominate the entire Feywild. And thirdly, that we are now frickin' stuck in the Feywild. Whether that was true or not, we didn't really know. And it's not like we had a way out of here anyway, so if this was some way to get us to help, we were gonna help anyway. Plus, they kinda treated me like royalty. I was not in a hurry. We asked, while we're here, if they had any way to revive Leku, but sadly much more time had passed at this point, and sadly it didn't seem like we had any way to help him at this very moment. So we at least requested that they would hold his body for us while we helped. But we spent the night to recover. Our task by the Queen was to help deal with what they assumed was the main issue with the Orc, the Archfey they seemed to be tied to, who the Elves apparently had locked away in some kind of pocket Fey dimension, with a certain large tree. Before that, however, I do remember going to the armory and asking for any help from them to kind of kit up a little before we went out there. But the guard there said apparently all their gear was already in use. The fully armoured, in Mithril guard said that. I might have gotten a little cocky, being seen as some kind of prince king to these people, so We woke up the next morning, completely fresh, leveled up even, probably. But as we were readying up to strike back at the orc, we felt the castle shake. Then a loud war cry of orc. We rushed down to find the same orc warboss, who we had killed at the first and second war camp, by the way. He keeps coming back, he's here again. As we fought our way toward him, we watched as he conjured a small rift and just walked through it, with a coy beckoning grin, and we followed. We entered an arena. At the base of the world tree, standing next to the war boss we had killed over and over, was a huge centaur. The Archfey. Oh man, this is a boss battle. We quickly slapped that orc to the side as we started to battle with this archer god as he launched volleys of arrows at us as we launched back quite viciously. Now, our boy Percy. He had this strange blood echoes ability I'm sure I referenced earlier. He can use these to create upgrade shards for weapons, but he could also spend them to gain temporary hit points. So he just popped a whole bunch he had been gaining from everything we've killed and got 150 temporary health? That alone was insane. All of that, the fact he can upgrade and get temporary health passively from a non-class ability, I mean, I can already hear 1,000 people being angry, but it was our game. But when you factor in the Blood Hunter's old ability, the Curse of Mutual Suffering, and Percy's ability to sacrifice health to make those shards, so things starting to connect. Fair to say, some rules were changed after this moment, and it did require a high con save. In an instant, Percy managed to do 150, probably more damage to this dude. The dust settled, and as we waited, and looted and maybe stole from this big tree that is probably important, another rift opened, and someone who looked like a big deal walked through, rocking the crazy I'm the leader of the Venom Hunter vibes. He looked super pissed, as if we had just messed up his entire operation. He rose his hand, seeming to pull some sort of essence out from the war boss, and while emitting this huge, brooding aura of anger, he just left the same way he arrived. As he did, another portal seemed to have opened. One much like the one we first used to get into the Feywild, and having no real choice, we jumped in, finding ourselves back at the portal to the Feywild, and more worryingly, the town that was near this place was completely destroyed by orc. All at once, Vincent felt all his duties as a cleric, a healer, a protector just crumble on top of him. And as some of the others went back to check out our ship, he stayed behind, grabbing a shovel, and he started to dig. Digging until he could bury and perform last rites for as many people he could, until he was exhausted. Having left an ally and a friend in the Feywild, having potentially brought this upon this town, and not knowing the fate of the kingdom that vanished in the night, easily just overwhelmed him at this point. For one of my first big characters, who had a lot of screen time at this point, I'm sure this is the first time I actually felt like I was in my character's shoes in some way. And would you look at that? Where did the time go? Sorry, it's taken me a month or two to get this out, or if you're here from the far future, dusting off old D&D videos from years ago, then, what's up, how you doing? I don't really have too much else to say. Just want to, jump into the next part, honestly. But please throw me a like if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed, do consider it. I do like seeing those little numbers rise. It makes me happy. But yeah, go into my channel, check out the other people I've linked down there. They're rad people. Check out the streams if you haven't at this point. But I'll see you all in the next video. See yous.